Good morning. This is July the 11th. It is 5:17 in the morning, and the temperature is 87 degrees. I'm doing this video this morning before the sun comes up because I started it yesterday at around 8 o'clock in the morning, and it got too hot, and I got a warning message on my cell phone that my cell phone has stopped working because it was too hot and it needed to cool down. So I had never had that happen before, but that just tells you that even our cell phones will stop working because it's too hot for them out here in Yuma, Arizona. This is the Yuma Gardener. I'm in zone 10A, and I'm going to give you a really quick tour this morning of the changes that have taken place in the garden since my first garden tour, which was in June. This will be the second garden tour, and there have been a lot of changes. And so let's get started before the sun comes up and my cell phone gets too hot. So we're going to start over here. I garden in containers, and I put the tool up to keep some critters out of the containers, and also as an added sun screen. I do have a canopy that provides shade, and but I also added this added protection. So in my first container here, I have 2 zucchini plants. They were doing really nice, but as you can see, this heat, I don't think they're going to survive this heat, to tell you the truth. They're not looking very good. I have 3 trees in this container, in these small pots. These are the trees that I planted from the seeds that I got from the dog park, and these were the ones that were popping when I brought them home. So these trees, they're doing great, even getting some new growth on them. This one's doing great. These trees are called Mexican yellow bird of paradise trees. And there's the third one, and it seems like it's doing great. And that's a Galeria, and it's not looking too good. But the trees that wanted to grow are growing, and they're hanging in here in this heat. In the next container, I have these were also planted from seeds. These are the orchid trees, and I have 4 of them growing in here. And I noticed yesterday that one of them, I think it's this one, yeah. This one didn't make it. So 4 out of 5 are still going strong in here. And then that's another yellow bird of paradise tree. So I guess my trees are doing okay. The peppers, if anybody knows what causes this leaf damage, it looks like something just takes a chomp, a bite right out of the leaf. Look at what's happening to that one. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, look at that. It's such a big bite. It doesn't look like it might be an insect, and it's so perfectly round. And I've had that happen on some of my other plants. One of the is on here. The orchid tree leaf has a chomp taken out of it. So the peppers are doing okay. They like heat, but I still have not gotten any blossoms on the peppers. So let's move over. And that was a volunteer, and it's growing. I did look it up, but unfortunately I forgot the name of the plant, but it's supposed to have yellow flowers on it if it blooms, or I should say when it blooms. I'm clearing out that corner. I still have one plant back there to move. I have to find a place for, and that is the Malabar spinach that is coming up on its own. It's a volunteer. This plant it's a vine. You can barely see it, but it has some really pretty purple flowers at the beginning of spring. This was next to the other Malabar spinach plant that I have. And so maybe it just dropped some seed in there, and now that's coming up this year. But I've got to get that situated because Malabar spinach grows very quickly. There have been some changes. I refurbished these two containers. The refurbishing is what I do is I reuse my potting soil from last year, and I put it in a big container, and I add compost to it, and I keep it watered, and it develops some really nice, deep, rich soil. So I moved some of that into these two containers because this one actually had my cucumbers, and they were growing nicely until the heat got to them and just burnt them up. So I'm going to be waiting for a while, and then I'll plant some more cucumbers for the winter crop. The next container has the watermelon vine, and it's growing, and it seems not to be too bothered by the it doesn't seem to be bothered by the heat. There's a hummer this morning, and he needs to come over here to this feeder because that one is empty. He's finding it. This is the one. I guess the hummingbirds know that you got to get out here early before it gets too hot, and get whatever they're gonna need to survive during the day. So we're turning around to my side yard, and the elephant bush plant is doing okay. These are from transplants, and they've taken root and seem to be doing okay. Of course, that is heat-loving, really a heat-loving plant. This is really sad. I saw this yesterday, and it looks like the heat is just burning the leaves on my morning glory. It is getting some new growth on the top. There's new leaves coming out, so hopefully this is gonna survive. I'm hoping anyway. That's all we can do, really, is just be hopeful. So this is the moringa tree, and the moringa tree is doing good. I'm not so worried about these leaves down here. It's the new growth that's up on the top. That's last month when I did the tour, this was about 3 feet tall, and I would say estimating right now for it to be 4.5, 5 feet. So it is definitely growing. This is the tuberosa. It's native, and when it blooms, it has yellow blooms on it, and the hummingbirds really love the tuberosa blooms. I'm going to turn around and show you the Malabar spinach. And the Malabar spinach, I put up the lattice because it was growing so fast. And let's see. I gotta get on my tippy toes to show you. But yeah, it is going to start going over the top of the canopy. So it's still growing. There's some new growth coming out, which is good. New growth. Because there's been some damage to the older leaves. But because there's new growth, I'm not too worried about that. I'm happy because this Malabar spinach loves the heat. So let's come back into the main part of the garden. And this is new. Right here, I thought I was gonna do a pyramid setup where you have 3, then you stack 2, and then you stack 1. But after we had such vicious, the wind, that windstorm, I was a little bit concerned that even if I use an interlocking technique that it would still perhaps blow the whole thing over, because that wind that we get is really quite unique and different, quite strong. So I planted 2 of the pots. I still have 1 more to plant. Okay, so that's a change in the garden. So I'm going to swing around and we'll take a look at the nursery. We still have plants, I should say trees, that are growing in the nursery. And these are all the ones from the dog park. These are the seeds that were popping. And this one is the purple, orchid tree. It could be either pink or purple, depends on when it blooms, we'll see. But all of these are the yellow bird of paradise tree. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in the nursery, and there are 5 in the house waiting to be transplanted outside. So it's going to be a forest around here pretty soon. This is my yellow bells. These were the first plants that I grew from seeds, and they are doing very well, except for whatever it is that's taking a chomp. It's just like somebody, something. I don't know how an insect could make such a big hole, but I look under the leaves. They say look under the leaves for whatever, if it's a caterpillar or something. and I never see anything. So I don't know. But I have 4 yellow bells, and they're doing great. They grow as a bush, but I'm gonna train them up like a tree. They'll be miniature trees. This is a volunteer tomato plant, and it's growing pretty good. I harvested, I should say, the collard green that was growing in here. It was a beautiful plant. It came up as a volunteer, and I wanted to get it out and have it for dinner before these things that chomp on my plants got to it. It was delicious, just enough for one person. Also, I had to take out my celery. I chopped and dropped the celery that was here, and then I covered it with the reconditioned soil that I had from last year. And I will be planting celery in that again. Usually we start planting, if you're going to plant for the winter season from seed, you can actually start the end of this month and in August to start planting for the winter season. So last night I was gifted 4 tomato plants, well, 3 tomato plants, and I went and got them and transplanted them here. That looks like multiple plants, but I couldn't separate them. So we'll see how they grow. But these are just put in last night, and this one came up as a volunteer, and it's been in here for a while. And there's another zucchini plant, and it's struggling like the others. So it's a challenge, but as you can see, some things survive and others don't. And I'm looking forward to starting the winter planting season. Today, like I said, it was 87 right now, and the temperature is supposed to get up to 114. So there's not a lot you can do out here, and it looks like there's a petunia that's still doing well. So it's hopeful that things will grow. You do your best, and then you just wait for our winter planting season to start, because we have some of the best weather in the winter time here in Yuma, Arizona, and we get so many winter visitors that come here because of our weather. So the people who live here year-round, we suffered through 3-4 months at the most of extreme heat. We mostly stay inside during the heat of the day, come out early in the morning like I am now, or late at night like I was last night planting the tomato plants last night. It was about 8:30, 9 o'clock that I was planting. I watered last night. I didn't get done until about 10 o'clock. But that's how life is here in the summertime. You get up early in the morning, you go inside, you do what you need to do there. You might take a siesta during the day, and then come back out at night and complete your day. So it's not that bad. It sounds bad when you say it's going to be 114 today. The plants take a hit for sure. It's really hard on the plants. But when the weather changes, and that's usually about the end of October, that our weather cools down. So if we start planting in August, we can be harvesting in October, November. So we'll just see and follow along when I start my winter garden. But this is my July garden update, and it has been difficult on the plants, but some are surviving and some are not. So we learn lessons every time we start a garden, and we can improve our methods for the following season. So this is the Yuma gardener, and I just want to say, if we can grow it here in Yuma in the summer, you can probably grow it anywhere. So thank you for watching, and I'll be checking back with you soon.